Okay, folks. So this next topic is about managing anger and the alchemy of the fire element. And we look at stories of young kids who have gone into competitive martial arts, wrestling, competitive sport, who have had anger issues. And after a few months or a year or so, they've resolved their behavior problems. That unresolved fire element gets put into the spirit of competition, and they find their concentration focus in life. And the same principle applies very well to Hermeticists. If you're a fiery personality type, you might be a short-tempered, irritable type of person. By embracing the spirit of competition and training in highly competitive sports like BJJ, wrestling, and so forth, you'll find yourself taking all that extra energy that's not being managed well, and the spirit absorbs it. And this has a very interesting effect. When the spirit absorbs energy through an activity like the spirit of competition, through highly intense training, that skill, that focus, that concentration, it's bilateral. It shoots across all these different areas. So how would we describe it? Your concentration capacity in every other aspect of your life gets better because of it. And when you put that competitiveness in the mirror and you go, I've got to compete with this ego, this body, this higher dominating lower, then you start practicing asceticism and you start developing your spiritual nature, start developing your higher aptitudes, your higher spiritual gifts, and so forth. So there's an incredible benefit in taking all this extra fire that you have in your personality, putting it into the spirit of competition, and you don't actually have to apply alchemy in any internal manner. You just simply engage in any competitive sport and take all that energy when you feel it and use it in training for that sport. And it doesn't have to be a sport, but the more competitive you are, the more that energy transforms through activity. So those of you who have a lot of fire element, this is an excellent way to manage that fire element. Now, let's say you're a person who's a bit lethargic. You don't like confrontation. You don't like competitiveness, and you shy away from it. And you may have a low fire element. You would then build a fire element, and then engage that in an activity that's competitive. So you do the fire element Qigong exercises, invoke the fire element, and then use it competitively, and it transforms naturally into the spirit. So whether you're using existing energy that's inefficiently unmanaged fire element, or you want to generate fire element, you can engage the competitiveness, the competitive spirit either way. I suggest practicing both, because people who are naturally fiery and go into the competitive field, they do so because they're trying to manage that excess fire. Now, once they have peaked out and they've managed it, then they pull back. But if they want to reach a higher peak, they need more fire. So it's at that point where they'll engage the fire element, invoke the fire element, and really start to control the fuel that they use for their training. And this fuel is free, absolutely free. You know, people are genetically born with resonance with the fire element, and the fire around them fuels them through the law of resonance. Some people are born with less resonance to the fire element. So all you have to do is generate the resonance to focus the breathing through that resonance to invoke the energy. And it's just a product of your mind coming into resonance with it, inviting it in, and there's the energy. It doesn't cost anything other than attention and synchronicity in a very simple effort to invoke that energy. So it may be genetically there, or you simply invoke it, invite it in, and utilize that energy from the environment. It's free energy. Now, free energy is simply using the law of resonance to harness energy that's there. So you could say the energy from the sun is free. It's there, all you have to do is harness it and be able to utilize it. So we're simply utilizing the available energy. Now, when you are tuning into the fire element and doing the fire element breathing exercises, there's a part of your mind which looks at fire element as being heat, fire element as being power, fire element as being expansion, fire element as having this sense of dominance of the hierarchy of the survival of the fittest. All these are aspects of the fire element, but when we go deeper into the fire element, there's a type of expansion of consciousness, which is a mental power. And when we look at this mental power in the competitive arena, in that spirit of competition, it's people with the most amount of accumulated mental power that tend to do the best. Of course, you need to develop the skills appropriately, be doing the system that you're training in well, but people who can dig deeper when they need it, meaning they dig into that reservoir of power in the spirit, they can invoke that and bring it to the surface and make it very usable. So as we go up the vibrational scale, it's a type of immovable mind. It's an immovable mind substance that's accumulated through this spirit of competition. And if you've been around highly competitive people, you can feel it in them, especially people who are highly successful. You can feel that within their personality profiles. So for those of you with high amounts of fire element already within you, utilize it. For those of you who are trying to be more competitive, practice fire element qigong, load yourself with fire element before every training session, and use that fire element throughout the training session, and at the end, dissipate any excess so that you don't get any emotional flaring up. Now, some people will get fire symptoms just because they're not discharging energy, they're not balancing out their energy at the end of a workout. And this forgetting to balance the fire element, it's a very important thing. A lot of people who come to train with me, for instance, complain about all these different symptoms, like I can't sleep. And then my next question is, did you discharge all the energy out of your system after practice? And it's always no, they left it in there. Of course you're not going to sleep if you're full of energy. You have to, use a hot bath or hot shower and discharge that energy and get it out of the system so that the matrices don't cling and keep the brain activity going crazy. You've got to soften the matrices to soften the brainwave activity to let the body go into that theta delta state where you get some nice deep rested sleep. So remember to always clear static out in the session. It's super important that you do that. Okay, any questions about fire element? Let me know. So the spirit of competition is one avenue. There are many avenues for managing the fire element, but it's my favorite because it has the most amount of side benefits for the hermeticist. Okay, thanks for your time, and see everyone on the next video.